Hi, this is Abhi Gupta,
And Natasha Armbrust?
and we're presenting our Info 43-10 final project, Tom Brady, the real NFL MVP. Here, we analyze whether Tom Brady deserved the top NFL Most Valuable Player award. We compare him against six total quarterbacks who are high performing, who were entered into the Pro Bowl, the NFL All Star game. We compare them based on three different metrics of analysis: passing effectiveness, efficiency, and impact. In order to do this analysis, we use information from the NFL Scraper dataset to generate our models. Finally, we select quarterbacks to analyze based on one simple metric: have they thrown at least 100 passes across the NFL season? We consider these to be valid NFL passers.
The first metric we look at is quarterback passing effectiveness. Our first graph compares a quarterback's passing completion percentage by yardage down the field, looking at passes that are less than 0 yards and 10 bin yard increments above that. We also show total pass attempts for each bin. When you hover over a quarterback's bar, you can see relevant statistics for each of these bins. In addition, we have a drop down menu that allows you to compare different quarterbacks. So, for example, if we wanted to see Alex Smith instead of the NFL average, our graph would adjust accordingly.
Analyzing our MVP candidates, we see that Drew Brees performs first on aggregate, as he places first in exactly four bins. Tom Brady places a close second, placing first in the 10 to 20 yard bin, but clearly based on this metric, Drew Brees is the top performer.
Next, we look at quarterbacks accuracy by passing down. We look at pass completion percentage with respect to the down. When you hover over a quarterback, you can see relevant statistics based on this metric, and we as well have a drop down menu for this metric.
We saw in the previous metric that Drew Brees is effective not only in the short passing distance game, but the long passing distance game. However, this metric shows us that this is not the only place he excels. He places first in every single down category that we have, with an aggregate rating of first across all quarterbacks. Tom Brady ties him on fourth down. However, Drew Brees clearly excels no matter what passing situation we are in the short term game. An important thing to note is that Carson Wentz performs very poorly in this metric, another MVP candidate that many people clamored to be one of the MVP candidates of the season.
Our next metric of comparison is quarterback accuracy by point spread. We look at the point spread within the game, whether the quarterback's team is up or down by a certain point spread, and compare their completion percentages on these point spreads. We include a point if a passer has passed more than 3 passes within that point spread game. Again, we have a toggleable menu so you can compare quarterbacks as well as different point spreads to change the x-axis and dive deeper into these point spreads.
Now, our toggleable point spread allows a user to take a look at overall situations, plus minus 3 points, plus minus 7 points. However, we wanted to take a look at a little bit more macro scale. How does a quarterback perform based on the score by possessions? When the game is tied, within 1 possession, 2 possessions, 3 possessions, and a blowout. We can tell here that Tom Brady is very effective when the game is tied. However, Drew Brees takes the cake in 1 possession, 2 possession, and blowout games. In fact, with his average ranking being 2, placing first overall on aggregate. We also see that Russell Wilson struggles very, very significantly in every situation except where he is down by 3 possessions. Interestingly, this provides a valuable insight on Drew Brees' effectiveness in short term, long term, and pass distance situations where he performs best in all three of the metrics we have analyzed.
Next, we look at quarterbacks' effectiveness by the drives that they lead. We look at different statistics for each drive, and we have computed these for points, plays, time, and yards per drive. We have a toggleable menu that allows you to compare each of these metrics against each other. So, for example, if I wanted to look at a quarterback's plays per drive versus their yards per drive, we can change the graph accordingly. As well, we show each quarterback's specific dot for each of these metric comparisons and highlight specific quarterbacks that you can toggle again in this. When you hover over a dot, you can see relevant statistics for this metric.
Only 2 out of the 4 metrics that we analyze in this graph have a definitive ranking: yards per drive and points per drive, and more is better. With time and plays, it's not clear exactly what is better, and as a result, we do not rank QBs based on those metrics. When looking at these rankings, we see that Tom Brady places first and Drew Brees again places second, while the rest of the NFL is at least two ranks below, with Russell Wilson and Carson Wentz performing distinctly poorly in comparison to everybody else in the NFL. It's clear that Brady and Brees excel, performing high in terms of yards per drive and points per drive.
Finally, we look at quarterback's win probability when the quarterback is on offense versus when their team is on defense. We aim to gauge a quarterback's change in their team's win probability by being on the field. Does this quarterback make the team more likely to win?
Our analysis shows that the win probability analysis is more telling for quarterbacks who are distinctly better or worse in their defenses than quarterbacks who have decent defenses and perform well. As we can see with quarterbacks like Matt Moore for the Miami Dolphins or for Jimmy Garoppolo of the 49ers, these quarterbacks perform distinctly better or worse in their defenses, and this metric highlights that. While quarterbacks who are good and their defenses are also good show net negative, as the NFL average shows a minus 1.5% statistic. As we can see, Tom Brady performed consistently well throughout the season, performing in the top three of most of our metrics, even placing first in different graphs. Drew Brees also performed very well, placing first in distance, down, point spread, and second in drive efficiency. Brees and Brady were clearly the top two quarterbacks in the NFL this past season. Simultaneously, we saw that other MVP candidates who were clamored to be top MVP candidates throughout the season, such as Carson Wentz and Russell Wilson, performed much closer to the NFL average based on analysis looking at our statistics. It was clear that Drew Brees was the true NFL MVP of the previous season. However, there were several human biases that probably led to Tom Brady's selection as the top player from the previous season. We see that as Drew Brees performed at a lower workload than his normal rate, he might have actually performed more efficiently than previous years. However, as NFL viewers are used to seeing Brees perform at a very high workload, it might have appeared that he performed worse when in actuality he was actually much better. Our analysis of Drew Brees' performance and his lack of selection throughout the season as an MVP candidate shows a flaw in the current MVP voting system. In fact, when looking at quarterbacks based on their numbers, it's clear that those who are selected by the media may or may not truly be the real best players of the NFL season. As a result, we call for a change to the NFL system to integrate numbers in order to truly select the best player from the previous season.